Imagine a world. Not just any world, but a world full of brand new adventures and biomes. A world full of wonderful little creatures. Some big, some small, and some just flat out adorable. However, there is much more to this strange world than these innocent little critters and unique new biomes. Other creatures lurk in the depths. Beautiful mermaids whose alluring songs could make even the toughest of sailors abandon ship. That is, if the treacherous sea serpents don't get to them first. Quick swimmers with an even quicker bite. Not to mention the land dwellers, dragons who rip through the skies, tearing anything in their path apart, with terrifying roars that echo for miles and miles. Gorgons, powerful creatures with snakes for hair, turning anything their eyes can reach into stone, forever to be forgotten. And many other fantastical monsters and creatures. So, I invite you to join me as I spend 100 days in a survival fantasy world. Oh, hey, you actually stayed. Well, in that case, welcome to my first 100-day adventure. So, as I first load up my world, I am greeted by a choose your origin screen. Basically, I could choose from a bunch of different kinds of races in order to give myself special abilities. Ultimately, I went with Plantomancer. I learned that Plantomancers are people who use the power of nature and specifically plants. As a Plantomancer, I have a few abilities. First of all, I can shoot poison ivy vines at targets. Hello, that's cool. I can also right-click plants and make them grow. I also heal in water. And to make it better, I get a speed boost during the day. So I had to do it. When I first spawned in, there was a weird kind of storm thing brewing, but it went away almost immediately. Nonetheless, it was cool, and I also spotted a cute little jellyfish out in the ocean by itself. Kinda wanted to take a swim with it, but decided maybe that's not the best idea. Upon taking a look around, I realized I'd spawned in a weird little shrubbery biome. It was kinda cute, but it's not exactly where I wanted to be. So, I went on my way, looking for trees, starting my Minecraft world off right. Just a few blocks ahead, and that's when I remembered I had an ability to grow plants. It's so fun. I can grow so many plants. I soon found some oak trees and began to chop down some wood. And I figured, you know what, in the meantime, I should probably tell you my goals for this 100-day world. So, prepare yourself. As you saw from the original first minute of this video, there are obviously a lot of creatures within this world. Some of them fantasy beasts, and some of them tameable. So of course, you know, I'm gonna tame as many of these fantastical beasts as I can in my 100-day time frame. However, there is one specific beast I would really like to tame, and that is a dragon. I mean, how cool is it thinking about flying through the sky on your cool little dragon, breathing lightning or ice or fire or whatever kind of dragon you got? Come on, that's cool. I then spent the rest of day one finding coal, some iron. I also found some silver ingots. I collected those and I was about to set off, and then I realized it's getting dark out and it's probably not good for me to stay outside. I went ahead and quickly boarded myself up in a cave I'd found earlier and decided, you know what, I might as well just mine the rest of the night while I'm waiting. On day 2, I started the morning out right, slaying a zombie, and I was so excited. I was about to go explore. I collected all my belongings and set out immediately. Early on my journey, I came across an ominous looking cemetery. Ah! Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Ah! And just like that, I had already encountered my very first boss of the world. After a long and perilous fight, I finally succeeded. Okay, just kidding. It wasn't a boss, but it was really scary, and 10 out of 10 would not recommend that ever again. Just over the bank of the river, I discovered my very first village in this world. Oh, this is massive. I immediately started exploring the villager's house in hopes of finding something useful to borrow. I met a villager named Craig, who had really nothing of value, to be honest. I also noticed that the village had some guards, which was really cool, and gosh, is this a swing? You're kidding. Another one of the buildings in the village had free bows, so of course I helped myself to one. I also found a free set of iron armor, which was so sick and perfect. I didn't even have to go mining. In another villager's home, I found some extra food, which would help a lot along the way. And a free iron pickaxe? I mean, okay, if you say so. Went ahead and snatched a bed, and then as I was about to leave the village, I found a villager named Florida who had manuscripts. You see, with manuscripts, you can create a bestiary. And with a bestiary, you can basically collect a whole bunch of information regarding almost every fantastical creature within this realm. I packed my bestiary up and was on my way when I came across a couple cute little raccoons. The rest of day 2 was pretty much just spent wandering around aimlessly, looking for a spot to call home. I woke up eager on day 3 to get out of whatever kind of gravel stony biome this was. It was gross. I was not a fan. I did collect a lot more iron as I went, and soon realized I was on an island of sorts, and I kind of wanted to get off. As I was walking, I found a cute little flower biome, and then I also spotted some weird mushroom contraption. I wasn't sure what it was, but I was determined to figure it out. Initially, I thought, I think I'm entering some cute little mushroom creature's home. This is so exciting. But as I ventured further, I realized that might not, in fact, be the case. Okay, well. Oh, scary. The deep dark. Not even gonna lie to you guys, I'm a little scared. I actually don't know what this is, so. The deep dark. Got it. So I'm probably not at this level yet. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I continued to sneak around, too scared to walk, because the deep dark is a terrifying place. While I actually, surprisingly, didn't end up coming across any mobs, I did find these weird little rooms that had furnaces and crafting tables. No chests, but they had coal, so I went ahead and took some of that. Down the ways, I found a minecart chest and carefully collected all the supplies inside that I thought I'd need, before carefully sneaking my way back to the entrance and up the ladder to the safety of the surface world. I trudged on just a little bit longer, but realized that the sun was actually setting, so I admired it for just a few minutes and then took my rest. For day 4 and also day 5 and partially day 6, I mostly just ran around exploring, looking for new biomes, new creatures, and ultimately came to the conclusion that I just got a really unlucky spawn. However, one of the cool biomes that I did find in my exploration was this cool glow mushroom cave. This was so sick. I wanted to collect the mushrooms, but unfortunately I had zero inventory space. All I could do was hope to find another one of these biomes in the future. Another interesting thing I came across on my journey were these little merfolk villages. These merfolk are passive creatures. They're basically villagers, but with mermaid tails and 10 times cooler. You can trade with them, and they also have chests kind of laying around just like a regular village. Soon I came back into contact with the ocean and realized I would have to sail it in order to get anywhere else. However, it was getting dark soon, so I set up camp here and decided I'd just take a little rest for the night. Day 5, I built a boat and immediately set sail when I suddenly came across something peculiar. And no, I'm not talking about the adorable little otter. Curiosity got the best of me when I spotted what appeared to be a mermaid.
Oh no! Oh no!
Suddenly, I was being pulled from my boat, unable to fight against whatever spell this mermaid had on me.
No! You'll never take me alive. Leave me alone.
Then I remembered my special poison ivy ability. I knew I had to keep my distance or else she would kill me. So I waited for my ability to charge again and kept my distance.
Fight it.
Finally, my ability recharged and I had one last shot at killing this thing before it killed me.
Oh. Ha! I got her! Yes, wow, well, my abilities do a lot.
I once again set off, this time with my newly acquired victory over the mermaid. And as I said before, I basically spent the next 2 days trekking for miles and miles, blocks upon blocks, in order to find a cute little biome that I could settle in. However, as I was walking, I spotted something way in the distance, and I wondered, what on earth could this be? Upon closer inspection, I noticed it was the skeleton of a dragon. Initially, I was very intrigued. I thought this was so cool. But then, a thought suddenly occurred to me. Something had murdered this dragon. And what could possibly kill a dragon? Well, it's funny you ask, because I did not want to stick around and find out. So I left just as quickly as I came. Along the way, I spotted quite a few really unique looking snow villages, and of course I explored a little bit and kind of looted some stuff, but overall I got some good stuff, okay? It was worth it. The rest of day 5 and into day 6, I spent most of my time sailing the 7 seas, looking for any landmass I could find, and I finally found one. I had come across yet another village, but this time it was a sand biome village. I noticed that every biome had its own unique kind of village. I mean, look at this place. It's beautiful. It's giving iHas Cupquake Oasis, you know? Well, I guess if you know, you know. As the sun set on day 6, I finally came across a biome that I absolutely loved. This was a cherry blossom grove, and along with it was a really cool cave system and all kinds of other biomes. As the sky darkened, I decided I had found my place in this world. After 7 days, I had finally found the place I wanted to build, which may seem like a lot of days, but listen, this is like a record for me. After crafting a shovel, I began to terraform, and in the process, I was trying to think, what kind of house did I want to build? I should also warn you ahead of time, I am new to building in Minecraft. I may have been playing this game since I was 10 years old, but I just recently started trying to learn how to interior and exterior decorate, how to build cute little houses that aren't just boxes. So, of course, if you have any advice, please feel free to leave some in the comments. I desperately need it. Anyways, let's continue. After a bit of terraforming, I decided it was time to go ahead and chop down some trees. I was very interested in the redwood that I knew was in these cherry blossom trunks, so I was trying to think of a creative way to incorporate that in my home design. I then remembered the birch tree biome right next to me and thought, you know what, maybe the white and red would kind of look cute together. having gathered many resources, I began to start building the outline. The next few days was basically all dedicated to this house. I mean, I was so indecisive. I built and deleted and built and deleted more and more. I collected resources. I fought mobs off. I realized I had to be the most indecisive person in the history of Minecraft when it came to building houses. Oh my god. Either way, after days and days of creating this house, I finally built something that I ended up liking. Ta-da! I know it still needs some work done to it. But listen, this is my first attempt, and I think for being really bad at building, I did really good at building. Okay, maybe not like really good at building, but like, you know, a decent for a beginner. This is good, you know? Please leave advice in the comments, I'm begging you. On day 12, I woke up so refreshed. I was finally done with my house. I didn't have to work on it any longer, and I was thrilled. Though I was done actually building the house, I still wanted to decorate the exterior a little bit. Though I didn't have all the supplies, I started anyways. My original plan when I made the house was to kind of make it mushroom themed because it's white and red and it kind of looks like a mushroom. But in the meantime, I decided red flowers would be just fine. After a few minutes, I did put a rain check on the exterior decorations of the house and decided I wanted to focus more on the inside since it was empty. I made armor stands and began to hang my armor up and also struggled with this helmet a little bit, but that's beside the point. I take my kitchen decorating very seriously in this game. I went out to grab some crafting materials for something I wanted to craft for my kitchen, and by the time I returned, it was dark. So I figured I'll just take a little rest before tomorrow. Day 13 came around the corner very, very quickly, and so I decided I wanted to spend the rest of the day kind of doing some more to my kitchen. But as I was working on the kitchen, I realized, what good is a kitchen if I don't have food to put in the kitchen? So I figured now's probably a good time to start farming. Day 14, I kept working on my farm and created a little well so that I could have unlimited water. I got super distracted by this well for some reason. I don't know, it was so dumb, but I spent the entire day trying to make this well look cute, and then at the end, I hated it. Way to waste the day, Spicy, great job. Because I had wasted the day, I spent a little more time out in the dark than I probably should have. And by the time I was done and I got inside, I heard the creepiest, most awful noise I've ever heard in my Minecraft career. What is that? What the? Haha, so as you could tell, I was, well, for lack of better words, shitting my pants. What is that? What is that? I thought my best bet was to try and sleep, and maybe when I woke up in the morning, this horrifying creature would be gone. I woke up and the sound was still there. Dude, what is this thing? Ultimately, I knew I was going to have to hunt down this creature and slay whatever it might be. I'm gonna pee my pants. Reluctantly, I began to suit up, and soon I headed out in order to find any evidence of what this monster might be. After some investigating, I realized that this monster, whatever it was, had to be somewhere down below me in a cave. After about 10 minutes of digging, I finally found the opening to a little cave where I assumed this monster was. Oh, it's a creeper with a backpack? How does he even have a backpack on? He doesn't even have arms, bro. So, turns out it wasn't in fact a terrifying creature from the depths of hell. It had simply been a creeper with a backpack on that had a jukebox upgrade which allowed him to play music. Really oddly specific, but now I have it and it's mine, so I'm not mad about it. For day 16, I continued just to farm the entire day, planting my crops and providing enough food for myself in the future. Day 17, I decorated the garden even more. And by the time day 18 rolled around, I was ready for an adventure. Throughout the multiple times I had went and looked for resources, I was adventuring and came across a weird dome-shaped object across the river and decided I wanted to go back and check that out. Carefully, I snuck my way up towards the dome, making sure I was cautious of whatever may lurk inside. Quietly, I snuck closer and closer, until suddenly I was spotted by a cyclops.
Oh, he's fast. Not get caught. Please, 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 please. Oh.
I don't know if you know what a cyclops can do to a person, so let me give you a demonstration. Wisely so, you can see why I wanted to avoid this guy. My plan was simple: lure the cyclops away from the dome so I could safely sneak in and look for any treasures that might be inside. Upon entering, I was greeted by mounds of gold and tons of chests. Once satisfied with the amount of gold I had collected, I headed home straight away, eager to get home safe and soundly and also count how much gold I'd gotten. Day 19, I woke up and immediately went to counting the gold. In total, I had collected 30 gold ingots. I then went and decided to explore that weird water cave I'd found when I first found this biome. I realized that a lot of this cave was actually going to be underwater, so I went back to my house, made some doors, and decided on my door tactic. Upon swimming around, I came across a weird stronghold in the middle of the water, and of course I had to check what was going on inside. Day 20, I went exploring for a cave and discovered some fairly unfriendly creature, or should I say creatures. I found yet another one of those strange mining entrances, sort of like the mushroom one from the beginning. I had planned on making this a quick little side mission, a side quest if you will. However, I actually spent 3 whole days here because listen, I am a curious fellow, okay? First I saw a deep slate cave, and then I saw spiders, and then I saw zombies, and then I saw ores and diamonds and cute little mushroom guys. And I can guarantee you have never seen a woman kill a creeper with a skillet. It's great fun. I really recommend it. After 3 long days of mining, fighting for my life, discovering things, looting chests, I entered another cave.
You're not gonna believe this, but I just casually stumbled into 2 ice dragon caves. Don't ask me how it happened, but it did. It's a big son of a... And over here, there's a freaking blue one. I thought this was the same cave, and then I came up, and there's just 2 different dragons right next to each other.
I was not prepared to fight a dragon, let alone 2, so I marked the coordinates and finally came out of the mines. Oh, how I had missed the beautiful night sky. And for once, I actually was excited to touch grass. Day 27, I woke up in the sunshine. I knew I'd need to go back into the mines in order to get some obsidian and some more diamonds to create better gear and potentially go to the nether to get netherite. However, crazy enough, 6 days of being in a cave, I really don't want to go back. So I spent the day just kind of organizing my stuff, unpacking my backpacks, and just trying to relax a little bit. Day 28, I woke up and decided I wanted to build something today. So upon walking outside, I stumbled across this cow who had been wandering my property since I'd got here and became inspired. I realized I had a large flat piece of land behind my garden that I wasn't using and figured this would be a perfect spot for a cute little farm. After terraforming and clearing the area of trees and leaves, I finally began to build. Once it got dark, I retired back to my cozy little cottage and slept for the night. Day 29 through 33, I spent most of my time collecting resources and continuing to build my little farm. I have a bad habit of actually not planning any of my builds and just seeing how it goes, which is most likely the reason it takes me so long to build absolutely anything in this game. Finally, I had finished my cute little farm, and all I needed was animals. So the next day, I set out to look for some sheep and some chickens when I stumbled across a little crow in my garden. I had a feeling pumpkin seeds were this crow's taste, and in fact they were. After just 2 pumpkin seeds, I had already tamed him. I realized this was my first official pet on this world. I had to think of a name for him. Finally, I decided to name him after the thing that tamed him. Pumpkin. Well, seeds, but Pumpkin. I made sure Pumpkin was safe for the night, and then I went ahead and slept. Having been sidetracked from meeting my previous friend the day before, I immediately set out to go look for some sheep and chickens. And boy, were they not easy to find. I didn't have a lead, and I didn't have the patience for wheat, so I just casually picked them up and carried them all the way back home. My own little fantasy world was finally starting to come together. Though I still had a lot more to build and a lot more to explore and a lot more to tame, I was so excited to see what the future might hold. Day 36, I still took it easy and worked on my garden just a little bit more. I added some pathing around my garden as well as to the exits into the farm. Being a planter, I felt the need to go ahead and start planting some trees as well. Continuing on to day 37, I still was spending most of my time kind of just fixing up the exterior, making it look a little more pretty. Day 38, I suited up with my armor and prepared to go caving. My goal was to go to a cave, find a pool of lava, and pour some water over it to create some obsidian. I knew I wanted to go to the nether soon, if not just to explore and maybe even get some netherite. After having gathered the obsidian, day 39 I spent terraforming a place to build the portal. I knew I wanted the location of the portal to be naturey, so it blended in kind of like my cottage did with the trees. Eventually, I made some flint and steel and then headed into the portal. My nether spawn was a little strange, needless to say, and highly dangerous. As I fortified my portal with what little cobblestone I had with me, I heard a noise. Spicy. It's literally just gas. You've literally seen dragons and sea serpents and sirens. Why is this a big deal? Listen, gas have given me trauma and I am terrified of them, which made me remember, oh yeah, I freaking hate the nether. Despite my fear of the infinitely looming gas just beyond the netherrack walls and lava, I managed to set out and explore the nether just a little bit before realizing, you know what, maybe I'm actually not prepared for this, not yet at least. On day 40, I woke up with a sudden realization. This had been 40 days in, and how was I supposed to keep my promise of taming all the fantasy beasts that I possibly could in my 100-day period if I hadn't even started yet? I needed to get to work. So the first place I headed was to my chickens. What could you possibly want with chickens, you might ask? I just happen to know that some chickens, very rarely, on occasion, could drop rotten eggs. Though these eggs are useless in any crafting sense, sometimes, just sometimes, I knew they had the chance of spawning in a already tamed cockatrice. However, I ended up coming back quite a few times, and none of these times had they laid a single egg. So the cockatrice rotten egg wasn't looking too promising at the moment, so I decided to move on to other things, bigger and better things. I also became self-aware that I get very easily distracted and I'm so unorganized when it comes to Minecraft. I mean, I flip from thing to thing constantly. I needed something to keep me on track. Then boom, all of a sudden it came to me, a to-do list. The first task was to tame a pixie, I decided, since there was a pixie forest just across the river from me. Just like me, I knew these pixies wanted one thing, sweets. Specifically in this case, cake. For my second task, I knew it was a different kind of creature that I wanted to tame. So I would have to start building an enclosure for our friendly little sea creatures, a hippocampus. Hippocampuses love kelp, and I knew I'd also need a saddle so I can ride them like a little seahorse, if you will. With this task board, I now had a much more organized idea of what I wanted to do. So day 50, I headed out and went back to my chickens, hoping and praying they laid an egg for a cake. They did not. Perhaps a one-on-one little chit-chat is what they needed.
Okay, so let's talk about why you guys aren't giving me eggs. Let's talk about that. Do you need more grass? I can do that for you. Can I just have an egg though? That's all I really need. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't ask for much, okay? I just want an egg. Please.
Since my chickens were not cooperating, I went on a little adventure to hopefully find some more chickens who maybe laid some eggs. And along the way, I found this pixie who had stolen some steak from my inventory. Like, what a jerk. Soon I had found another chicken, though it hadn't laid eggs either. But I decided to bring them back to my farm anyways. Once home, I decided to craft a bestiary lectern so that I could use my manuscript pages in order to learn some more about some of these creatures. I mean, if I was going to capture some of these things, I should probably know about them. I had only a few manuscripts, so I decided to spend them researching a hippocampus, an ice dragon egg, and a hippogriff. As you can see, each section of the bestiary has a specific creature to learn about, and it tells you all kinds of really helpful information about them. When I had returned home from gathering that stray chicken, I noticed that my chickens had finally laid an egg, and finally I crafted the cake. With the key ingredient now in my hands, I set off immediately to go find some pixies. I arrived at the pixies and began to inspect each one, deciding which color I wanted. However, as I was inspecting them, I realized a lot of them were carrying items. And upon even closer inspection, I realized they were my items. I threw the cake I made down a couple times, but to no avail, didn't catch any pixies. So I had to come up with something else. So I headed back to my cottage to go ahead and craft a jar, and then by the time I got back, it was getting a little dark, so I had to hurry. Initially, I felt a little bad for capturing one of these little guys in a jar, and then I remembered they stole my stuff. That's their own problem. They are criminals. On day 42, I had the bright idea of maybe capturing a pixie in a jar and letting it loose in my house might make it a little easier to tame. As soon as I let the pixie out of the jar, it stole a plank. Actually, 28 planks from my inventory. We were already off to a bit of a rough start, I'd say. After chasing this pixie around my house for 5 minutes straight, I was getting a little bit annoyed. Finally, I just decided to manhandle her until she accepted my gift. And eventually, it worked.
Shit, did I do it? She's my little friend. Hi. I think she gives me a speed boost too.
My first fantasy creature, I finally tamed one. I was so excited, and I was so excited that it was a pixie. However, it was now day 42, and I needed to get my butt in gear and start looking for a hippocampus now. I set sail, then dove into the water to collect a bunch of kelp. Just a few blocks from where I had just been collecting kelp, I noticed some mermaids in the distance. But when I dove down into the water, I also spotted a hippocampus. I had not been expecting to find one so quickly, so I had to go back to my house, grab a saddle, and when I came back, I realized the hippocampus had gone way too close to the mermaids. Finally, I just accepted I was gonna have to probably kill the mermaids before I could get the hippocampus. Challenge accepted. I've already done it before.
Ah, not this again.
The foul beast was slain, and I could now get my reward, the hippocampus. And just like that, that was 2 fantasy creatures tamed in the last 2 days.
Oh, wait, we got it. Oh. Wait, I'm breathing underwater? It does work.
I rode my hippocampus back to shore and began starting on a little sort of enclosure thing for him. There was a naturally spawning little bay area close to the shore of my home, and I figured if I could just make it a little deeper, add some more light, add some more decorations, it'd be a perfect home for my little guy. I also made a little name tag for him, Bubbles, because Bubbles is cute. I don't know what to tell you. The next day, I even made an entire trip back to the nether just to get glowstone so that I could light his enclosure up nice and pretty. Day 44, I jumped in and added a bunch of kelp to make him feel more at home. And then I also added in the few glowstone blocks I'd made from the nether the day before. Once I was finished with Bubbles' enclosure, I headed home for the night. Day 45, I woke up once again inspired and spent a couple days, decorating my house. I realized from here on out I'd probably be spending most of my time looking for creatures and also exploring. So better late than never, finishing decorating the interior of my house. Similarly to the outside of my house, I'm also not very good at interior decorating, so if you have any words of advice, please share them in my comments. I appreciate you. Eventually, I was on to my next task, and I decided the next thing I wanted to tame was a hippogriff. I happen to know from the book and from my previous experience with this mod that hippogriffs love rabbit feet, specifically at least 8 of them. I ended up making a secondary goal and a third goal, but the third goal would take a lot of time, and I probably had a lot more things I need to do before I could even make it halfway to that goal. However, with my new goals written down, I now had a way better focus point, and so I set out on my first mission to find a hippogriff. Before I could get a hippogriff, of course, I would have to start by making an enclosure for him, or her. I found a semi-flat area in front of my house and decided this would be a great spot for it. I was unsure what I wanted it to look like, and then I decided, what if I made it like a big greenhouse, sort of? But I also wanted to make it tall enough that they could fly around if they wanted. So after a couple days of gathering sand to make some glass and also gathering other resources, I had finally made the outline of my greenhouse. Now would be a great time to start researching hippogriffs. And so that's what I did. I had also found a few other manuscripts in a chest and decided to research a deathworm. I didn't know much or even anything about deathworms, so I figured maybe it was a good time to research it, just in case I encountered them on my journey to find a hippogriff. Night approached quickly, and so I slept blissfully, completely unaware of the treacherous and long journey I would have ahead of me in the next few days. When I awoke on day 53, I immediately put my armor on and began collecting and gathering supplies for my trip, not knowing how long it might take. I ran to my garden collecting as much supplies as I could, and also using some of these ingredients to make even better meals for myself. It became rainy very quickly, and I decided what better time to sit in my kitchen and make some dumplings. Because it was rainy, I decided that I wouldn't start my journey until the next day. So I sat and harassed my chickens for about 15 more minutes, and still, they gave me nothing. Day 54, I woke up ready to go, and I was off. This time with a couple different goals on my mind. Number 1, find some rabbit feed. Number 2, find a giant mountain biome. And number 3, find the hippogriff. And bonus number 4, don't die. Zaddy, please. Zaddy, please. No. Turns out the first day of the journey goes by fast when you're getting chased by a dragon halfway through it. Day 55, I set sail in hopes that I could find any kind of new biome and maybe I could find some other creatures. But you guys know, it wouldn't be a spicy adventure if I didn't get stuck with some freaking mermaids. Slaying the sirens once more, I continued my journey. Then in the distance, I spotted a village. However, as I made my way to the village, I realized there was some weird kind of stuff happening around here, okay? There were weird flying dragon things in the sky, but they weren't any of the dragons I knew or any of the creatures I knew existed in this world. So when I found a bestiary hut in the village and collected all the manuscripts, I went to town on my bestiary, trying to figure out what in the heck these things were. Turns out they're not even from this mod. As Gwen Stefani would say, I'm just a girl, okay? And I throw mods into a mod pack and hope for the best. Turns out that is the exact case for this situation. I know nothing about these things. However, I did notice a villager guard shooting at these things and went to investigate. I learned that apparently these things were called nagas and they were deadly poisonous little dragon guys. I helped the villager guard slay this thing and I got a fun little achievement from it. I continued the waltz around the village, collecting stuff from the villagers' houses and looting their chests, when I turned around and saw something interesting. Another massive dragon skeleton. Upon closer inspection, turns out it was a stage 5 dragon, which is the second largest stage. As I left my inventory, I noticed this ugly little worm thing coming after me, trying to beat me up. But alas, it was no match for me. Turns out this ugly little thing was a Deathworm, and according to the bestiary, they can grow up to 20 blocks long. This made me wonder, is this what's been killing the dragons? Not shown, while I was in the desert village, I also was chased by a mob of these crazy bird-looking creatures with knives. After I killed them, they ended up dropping one of their masks, and I thought they were pretty cool to be honest. Looting in further, I found another bestiary hut, and in this chest there was a ton of manuscripts and a rotten egg. I quickly discovered that what the bestiary said about these deathworms was true. I mean, look at the size of this freaking thing. I had slain the biggest deathworm I had ever seen, and this boosted my confidence. You know what? I could kill anything. All I gotta say is be glad my mic was not working. I would have had to censor this entire bit. Okay, maybe it didn't work out the first time, but the second time it definitely would. I'd already hit him a couple times, right? Finally, I decided this stupid deathworm was not worth my time. I was gonna continue my exploration, when suddenly I came across a weird tree-looking object in the distance. Slowly and carefully, I ventured forward, only to come across a boss battle. While I knew I was not ready for a boss battle, I was still curious and wanted to find out what these things were. Turns out they were the same bird things that attacked me in a mob earlier. I began to run around the camp, killing as many of these bird things as I possibly could. All the while, laser beams were shooting out from the ground beneath me, and the Sunbird King was sitting here sucking the life out of all of his fellow comrades. I then decided to try and go for the Sunbird King himself. But I realized he kept spawning in healers that sat there and healed him. So alas, I fled. It was clear I was just simply not prepared for a fight like that right now, so I marked the coordinates in case I could return at some point. Soon I came across a jungle, and as I was inspecting some ants, I noticed something flying around in the sky. I remembered these guys from my bestiary. They were called amphitheres. Through my research, I learned that amphitheres were very peaceful/neutral creatures. They did not attack on sight, but if anything hurt villagers, they would attack. I also learned that these things were tameable. If I shot them out of the air and then mounted them like a horse, it should tame them eventually. Unfortunately, I was out of arrows, so I had to go find some more materials to make some. By the time I had spotted the amphitheres again, it was starting to get dark, and I was on a giant cliff, so shooting them now probably would not be the best move. I figured I would sleep and wait until the morning to start trying to shoot these guys. I began searching for a place to sleep for the night, and then found this weird-looking insect approaching me, and it did not look friendly. This thing started carrying me around. I had no idea what this thing was, and I did not want to die to figure it out. Finally, after a while, I killed it and found out it was a Myromex. Finally, I could set off and look for a place to sleep. However, I then realized I was actually bedless. So I ended up staying in a little cave I built the whole night. Day 59, it was still raining, and I also could not find these amphitheres anywhere. And so I spent most of my day searching all around the mountain, looking for any signs of those flying creatures. However, during my search, I encountered another dragon. This time it was a lightning dragon, and it definitely was hungry for me. Eventually, I escaped and continued looking for amphitheres. Though I was originally going for some hippogriffs, I had not yet encountered one, and I figured I might as well not waste this opportunity to tame a beast. Day 60, I finally found the amphitheres after 2 long days of searching. I had limited arrows, so I needed to be careful, but these things were so tricky. And to be completely honest with you, this took me about 15-20 minutes. I could not shoot one of these things down for the life of me, so I didn't end up recording the actual shot. But I did find one and mount it on the ground, eventually taming it. And so, with limited daylight left, I took off to the skies, my first flying creature.
Oh my god. Alright, buddy, it's time to go home. Yeehaw.
I got home on day 61 and decided it was time to name our new amphitheatre. Pepper ended up being the name I chose for our new little friend. So I hurried inside his little enclosure and gave him his name tag. I think he liked it. I then headed back to my house and began looking through my new treasures. I had picked up 2 deathworm eggs from 2 deathworms I had slain, and also a rotten egg. I knew my chances with the rotten egg were slim, but I was down to try it anyways. Sadly, I got nothing, so I then headed to my chicken coop to threaten my chickens a little bit more by dangling a piece of raw chicken in their faces and threatening their families. While I waited for my chickens to lay another rotten egg, I decided to look into my deathworm eggs a little bit. Shockingly, deathworms were actually great companions. While they weren't tameable in the sense that you could control them, if you hatched them, they would protect you and the land around you and your own livestock. So I decided a great place to hatch my little worm would be right outside my farm so he could protect my animals and protect the land around it. This guy was a lot smaller than I thought he would be. Aww. Hopefully, he'll grow fast. I also hatched my second deathworm egg. This time, I wanted to make it closer to the enclosure and towards my house. Sadly, I was out of name tags, so as soon as I got 2 more, I would have to name them. I also went to go check on Pepper, and he was enjoying his enclosure. Yeah, that's what's happening. When I returned to my house, I noticed I had a lot of deathworm chitin. I don't know, I think that's how you say it. Whatever. Either way, I could make armor out of it, and this armor was pretty strong. I crafted a chest plate and some leggings, then decided to try them on. While it wasn't nearly as powerful as some of the other armors in the game, it was still something, and I was very excited about it. Day 62, I found some name tags and ran around looking to find my Deathworms, which were to be named Mayonnaise and Ranch. However, as I was going by my farm, I heard my chicken squawk. You know what that means, ladies and gents? We've got a rotten egg on our hands. So as I entered, I accidentally threw it and... holy shit! I hatched a cockatrice! Oh, we've got a cockatrice, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a cockatrice. I repeat, we have got a cockatrice. I didn't even mean to throw that. And so I took our cockatrice back to his little enclosure where I was deciding to keep all my little animals. And he kind of looks like my bird in real life. Now, most people would say, Spicy, what do you name a cockatrice? Well, leave it to me. I've got all the original names, you guys. After naming my cockatrice Chicken Little, I finally left and went to look for my worms, my original task. Finally, I spotted him in the distance, and they grow up so fast. This one would be called Mayonnaise, but I think I spelled that wrong. Anyways, okay, now this just looks inappropriate, you guys. What is going on here, Minecraft? Did you think about this? Then I was off to look for my other Deathworm, Ranch, but he was nowhere in sight. I'm hoping he didn't die, but there's a lot of caves and cliffs around here. I'm worried the little guy fell, okay? When I couldn't find Ranch, I retired back to my house for the night and began to study up on some of the other creatures. One creature in particular that interested me was the sea serpent. For some reason, we had not seen any yet. And I knew they could create some very powerful armor, as well as very powerful weapons that I could use to fight the dragons and defend myself in the future. And so day 63, I set out to the nearest ocean to hopefully find a powerful sea serpent. That would give me a lot of loot. I also double checked, of course, to see if I could tame a sea serpent, but unfortunately, that would be way too powerful, and that is not a thing in this game so far. Because I had spent most of my morning organizing my chest and collecting my gear to prepare for my journey, I only had enough time to kind of scout around, and decided that there were no sea serpents around the ocean I was in. I was going to need to venture out much further if I wanted to find one of these things. So day 64, I headed to a whole different ocean and went exploring. Hopefully I'd be able to find a sea serpent. A few minutes later, I spotted one under my boat, and I knew the chase was on. Oh. Once I finally led it to shore, I hightailed it all the way out of my boat. What I totally forgot about was not only these sea serpents' very, very powerful bite, but their ability to RKO me. I got back and gathered my stuff, ready for round 2 with this sucker. Though I will admit, I did start to freak out a bit when he started continuously trying to body slam me and climbing all the way onto the land. When I thought he was stuck, I used this to my advantage very quickly and began smacking him up with my diamond sword. Back, you foul beast, is what I say in my brain a couple times as I hit him. But then bro starts body slamming me again, okay, and I just can't handle that. A lot of hits later and the sun is starting to go down. I need to kill this thing as soon as I possibly can, but this thing has so much health. Finally, I succeed! I have slain my first sea serpent and collected its scales in the process, which is exactly what I needed for my armor. Day 65, I set out for another sea serpent. I needed to get enough scales in order to make some armor, and one sea serpent just simply wasn't enough. Now, it took me the whole day, but I finally found another sea serpent, and I tried leading this one up on the land so that I could once again have the advantage. Turns out this guy in particular was actually built much different than his brothers. No way he came all the way up here, bro. This battle was already taking a much different turn than the first one did. I mean, this guy was actually trying to kill me, okay? Ugh. This 1v1 ended up lasting an ungodly amount of time, okay? And it didn't help that these freaking seagulls kept swooping down and stealing the food off my body.
2,000 years later.
It was now dark, and I was still fighting this guy with a lot more to go. The morning of day 66 rolled around the corner, and I was still trying to kill this stupid thing. Finally, after the longest battle of my entire life, I finally killed this sea serpent. I ran over and collected its 13 scales, which was a big win for me, and then headed home to make some armor. Even though I had just made some Deathworm armor, I knew the sea serpent armor was a lot more powerful and it would help me a lot more in the long run. So I decided to put that on, and honestly, I wasn't disappointed. I mean, I look like Aquaman.
Aquaman.
While I was gone, my chickens actually dropped another rotten egg, and I had very little hope that this would spawn anything, but I figured you might as well try. Can't hurt, right? Well, spoke too soon on that one, ladies and gentlemen, so I had to go find another name for this little guy now. Me, being the genius that I am, came up with a name almost immediately. It was perfect. I sat and admired my cute little cockatrices for just a moment before deciding it was time to go to bed. Day 67, I found the nearest village and began to search around to see if any villagers had any loyalty books. I knew I wanted to make the trident from the sea serpent fangs, but a trident isn't a trident without loyalty. It would suck having to chase that thing down every time I threw it. Unfortunately, I could not find any villagers that were any help, and so I went to doing the hard work myself. I was determined to get one of these freaking villagers to give me a book. Just give me a loyalty book, please. An entire day later, and I finally got a villager that gave me a loyalty 2 book. I quickly scavenged the village for the 2 remaining emeralds I needed and the 3 books. And I grabbed my loyalty 2 book and headed home. I combined 3 sea serpent fangs, 2 scales, a diamond, and a dragon bone to make the Tide Trident, a legendary weapon that I was so beyond excited to use. I quickly headed outside and began to practice my new weapon. I began to wander towards the ocean when I spotted my little guy, my Deathworm.
Ranch, what are you doing here, buddy? I've been looking for you.
I must confess, with my new toy, I stayed up a little later than I probably should and just began practicing with my Tide Trident. Upon heading back towards my house, I came across a beautiful sight. My Deathworm absolutely destroying some zombies. Or so I thought. No! Ranch! Ranch. Oh. 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 I killed him. I had too much confidence. Listen, people cope with grief in many ways, and my version of coping with grief was setting out on an adventure, moving on, and looking for a hippogriff. As I wandered around, I thought I spotted a pair of dragon wings in the distance, but I thought, you know what, maybe I'm just seeing stuff. That could very... Oh, no, that's definitely a dragon. No worries, I think it lost me. Ugh! Oh my god, please. Oh, spoke too soon there. I was trapped, again, by yet another dragon, for quite a few minutes. But it took the whole day, dude. I didn't know how to get out of this situation, okay? I tried peeking out a few times and throwing my trident at it, but I just ultimately had a really bad angle. Next thing I know, I'm in the dragon's mouth and I'm getting thrown around like a freaking ragdoll. I could hear the Grim Reaper calling at this point, and I accepted my fate. So far, my search for the hippogriff was going terribly. I mean, I died so many times at this point. I traveled for days, and still nothing. And so I did what any sane person would do. Go home and make a couple bacon sandwiches. Went up to my bedroom and slept for the night, and then in the morning I decided I'd keep exploring for a hippogriff and I wasn't gonna stop until I finally found one. I swear, I didn't see any sea serpents for the longest time, and then all of a sudden, every single time I hop in the ocean, I'm getting chased and attacked by the biggest sea serpent in the entire area. Shout out these big guys for always ruining my days. You know what? I can't even be mad. I need the XP, because I keep dying and losing all of it. I returned home briefly just to get rid of some of the items in my inventory, clear it out a little bit. But before I set out again, there was one thing I needed to do. And then it hit me. I really wasn't over Ranch's death. I mean, I thought I was done grieving. I thought I could be strong for him. I thought I could move on. but it just didn't feel right keeping his chitin with all the other random Deathworm chitin. He deserved to be remembered for who he was. My brave little condiment. I was going to complete this 100-day challenge. I was gonna tame all the monsters I could. For you, Ranch. I was filled with a newfound sense of determination for my boy Ranch. I spent the next few days searching for new land, and I came across the biggest sea serpent I had ever seen. Of course, things can never just be simple for me, so then I had to fight some sirens while being chased by the biggest sea serpent ever, and now I was stranded on a rock by myself with this giant sea serpent. 'Twas a well-fought battle by the sea serpent, and unfortunately I lost, as per usual, but I had to continue on. I had to find a hippogriff. Eventually I came to a clearing which seemed to have a lot of rabbits around it, so I started shooting. I needed some rabbit feet, and unfortunately the rabbit foot drop is about 1 in 10 rabbits, so I had to murk a bunch of rabbits, and it didn't feel good, believe me. I also bred some though, so I'm not an entirely bad person. After another day, I had finally collected 8 rabbit feet exactly. I did a little more research on hippogriffs, trying to find out where I could locate them. Tall hills seemed to be the way to go when looking for any kind of hippogriff, so I ventured up to the tallest point that I could. Eventually, I made it up a hill that led into an even taller hill, and I figured there had to be something around here. This was the biggest hill and hilliest biome I could find in general. And so, as I ascended the mountain, I kept my eyes open, when, all of a sudden, a familiar winged creature appeared in front of me.
Got you rabbit feet, buddy. Oh. Did I get him? You're kidding, it was that easy? I have such far way to get home on this thing.
I flew away into the night, homeward bound. And when I finally landed back at my base and decided to try to put the hippogriff into his little enclosure, everything went wrong, basically. First, I began to suffocate in the wall, and then a zombie came to say hi, along with a creeper which I didn't see till last second. Luckily, I had my cockatrices to kill the zombie, but, they're fast, and they ran away, and, you know, it was a whole thing. Eventually, I did get my hippogriff into the little greenhouse thing I had built for all my little animals, reconstructed the place, and then was off to go and find all the animals that had escaped. Day 76, I woke up and grabbed my name tag so I could go name my new hippogriff. Of course, there's only one name I could think of, but it was a good name and he liked it very much. As I looked around my greenhouse enclosure, I realized I had tamed just about every beast that I possibly could. The only thing left was a dragon. I was feeling confident. I was already almost done with my main goal, and it was only day 77. As the day continued, I knew there was something I needed to do. Kill the cyclops. I may not have been strong enough before, but I sure was now, and I needed his XP so that I could enchant my armor. I landed the final blow and defeated the cyclops. As a reward, I actually earned a cyclops eye, which apparently is a very rare drop, and a legendary weapon. Proudly, I flaunted my new legendary weapon cyclops eye around. However, I wasn't done yet. This victory had ignited a burning passion in me. There was something else I wanted to kill. I knew of a place that had a lightning dragon nest, and I went right to it. I did slightly cheese my way through this dragon battle, but it worked out in the end, and after a long and perilous fight, I finally won. I was officially a dragon slayer.
Kinda bad.
I quickly harvested everything the dragon had to offer me, and I ended up getting 28 dragon skills, which was enough to make a full set of dragon armor. I also got a boatload of XP, which would be so good in enchanting all of it. Immediately upon arriving home, I tried on my new gear, and wow, I look sick. It's giving toothless, and I love that. I needed a place to store my dragon and my sea serpent skull. I had one. And I figured, you know what, we have one task left. We might as well erase the to-do list and use it as a trophy wall. Day 78, I woke up and stored my Tide Guardian armor now that I had much better dragon armor. And I went to my enchantment room I had made, which, my bad y'all, I totally forgot to show me building this, but don't worry about it, okay? It took a long time. I'm saving you minutes of your life. I enchanted every piece of armor, one by one, until I had a full set of enchanted dragon armor. My next objective had to do with a dragon, and hopefully I would be getting a dragon egg, so I could raise the dragon myself. Looking through some of the items in this mod, I found a chain that was completely unbreakable and could hold anything into a wall. And I figured, this could be great. I could sneak into the ice dragon cave, chain them to the wall, and then I would have the advantage. This sounded like an excellent plan to me. I thought I was a freaking genius, okay? And so I made as many of these chains as I possibly could. And you know what? Nourishment is just as important as armor or weapons, so I began to make some spaghetti and meatballs. Tomorrow I would head for the dragon caverns, and I knew that this could possibly be the hardest part of this entire journey. I took my last glimpse of the night sky, knowing that tomorrow I might not see it for a long time, and all I could do was hope that everything went to plan. Day 79 and I was off. Luckily, the walk wasn't too far, but I was getting nervous because I really wasn't sure what to expect. I mean, I had killed a dragon before, but it was only a low level. I couldn't even imagine the size of these level 5 and 6 dragons. But my plan is to hopefully get down there while the dragon's sleeping, chain it to the walls, and then climb back up here. We'll see how that goes. Oh, shiitake mushrooms on a stick. Oh, hey, he went back to sleep. We're good. That's fine. I don't think we're gonna be able to use the chains. Oh, shiitake mushroom on a stick! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, where did it go? Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the best approach to this. This was completely unexpected. I didn't know it was gonna dig its way out into the ocean, so... I momentarily went back into my hidey hole to regain my health and hunger, but when I resurfaced, I looked around and I could not find the dragon anywhere. I learned it had actually flown away. What a freaking coward! Luckily, I had found a different ice dragon cavern and decided to try my luck at that one. Unfortunately, my little hidey hole this time did not last long. I retreated to find a different spot to hopefully shoot at the dragon with. This time I had a different strategy. What if I shot it from above? Turns out, didn't even get a chance to hit it before everything went to I would also like to take a moment and admire how good I was at avoiding these creepers. There were so many of them. Unfortunately, that luck did not last long whatsoever. God dang it. No, please. Just let me kill a dragon. I came back to throw some more tritons at this guy, and what do you know? He digs his way out again. And that's another dragon lost again. I surfaced to try and find him, find where he went, but unfortunately, there was no luck. I was so angry at my failures. I mean, I got so close twice. And so I returned home, disappointed in myself, angry at myself. I should have had it. That was my chance. Turns out I had wasted 6 days on those 2 dragon battles. Day 85, I took a seat in my comfy cushiony couch and I reflected on all my mistakes, everything I did wrong, and what I could do to prepare better in the future. I realized I might have to go back to the nether. I needed to find a fortress so then I could therefore find a blaze, get a blaze rod, some blaze powder, and some wither bones if I possibly could. Maybe making some potions would be my best solution. I ended up very carefully trekking about 300 to 400 blocks away, where I came into a clearing and discovered a nether fortress. Almost immediately, I encountered a blaze and ended up two-shotting it, and this is when I realized my bow was a lot more powerful than I thought. I was also excited to notice that I was also two-shotting wither skeletons. And so I made my way through the nether fortress, killing anything that tried to stop me and also looting any chests that I happened to find along the way. After a few minutes, I found everything that I came for and I headed back towards my portal. Now is probably a good time to mention that though I've been playing this game for so many years, I've actually never learned how to brew any potions, okay? I play for the aesthetic. I don't want to hear it, you guys, okay? While I was looking through some of the items I was putting away, I realized I could actually make a dragon bone sword, which I'd totally forgotten was a weapon in this game. This is also about when I realized that I could also make this sword a little more special. By combining dragon blood in this sword, I could create the ultimate weapon against any ice, fire, or lightning dragons. So I set out with a new goal, to kill another dragon, but this time I had glass bottles so I could obtain its blood. I traveled around for about 2 days looking for any sign of a dragon lair, a cave, anything. Eventually, I came across this very strange looking stone structure. And of course, I decided I gotta check it out. I gotta see what's going on in here. Definitely hear laughing, which can only mean one thing. A Gorgon. I've got this in the bag. Blindfold. Eventually, I figured out which levers were which and which opened the door, and I put my blindfolds on and prepared for the worst. A Gorgon emerged from the dark and started hitting me, poisoning me instantly. At first I thought I could take it, and then I saw my health and decided I need to get out of here. Narrowly, I escaped with my life, but once I healed, I was not done. I came back for more. Oh. You're kidding. I've got a Gorgon head. You know, I just had to instantly try it out. And even though I realized I wasted it, it was still really cool. And hey, the more you know. Day 89, I finally found a dragon. Exactly what I was looking for. Except this one was a fire dragon. And honestly, this worked out the best since all I'd been able to find so far were ice dragon caves. Basically, how the blood thing works is that I kill, per se, a fire dragon. I take its blood, I combine it with my sword, and it instantly does 8 more damage to an ice dragon than any other sword would. It catches them on fire, too. When I knew it was dead, I walked up and began to harvest its body, and also collect the blood samples I needed. I got home, crafted a smithing table, and began to upgrade my gear. where I ended up getting a flaming dragon bone sword. Day 90, I woke up and began to, I ended up watching just a bunch of YouTube videos because like I said, I have no idea how to grab potions, I just work here. Finally, I created a potion of regeneration and a potion of swiftness. Not wanting to waste any more time nor days, I set off immediately to go find another ice dragon cave. The last 2 dragons I had fought in their caves were just random finds, okay? But the ones I had originally written down the coordinates to, I had lost. But I went around the same area and I ended up finding them again. But this time, it was a little different. Upon peeking out of my little entrance, I noticed that both the dragons were now in one cave, as opposed to them being in separate caves, which meant if I shot one dragon, I was gonna get attacked by both. At first I was like, you know what, this is actually going pretty well. I mean, they haven't even tried to get me yet. But spoke too soon. I started running and immediately everything just broke around me and I was in a dragon's mouth and I was panicking.
Terrible idea.
Somehow, some way, I had managed to escape it. And so I decided maybe my best bet was to go find a different cave. And so I did. Not too far away, there was yet another ice dragon cave, and this one went a lot better than the others. I had already been shooting at this dragon a little bit because I had read that the best way to kill a dragon is to just fight it from afar, bow and arrow and all. I heard one last roar after shooting my last arrow, and I wondered, was this it? Did I do it? What?
This thing just die? I've been hitting it for a bit, but I didn't realize I
went over to examine the body and crossed my fingers hoping that it would drop me an egg from its loot. Unfortunately, it didn't. And I also learned it was a level 4 dragon, which would explain why it seemed a little easier. Thanks to my minimap mod, I found another ice dragon cave. And almost immediately, I engaged in combat. After shooting at this dragon for what felt like forever, I decided I've had enough. I'm done failing, I'm done making mistakes, and I have potions now. I'm unstoppable.
Okay, we ball. Okay, we ball. Come here. Come here. See if I care. See if I care. Let me just smack you up. Come here. Son of a bitch, let me out. Let me out of your goddamn mouth, young man. You. Oh my god. Got him.
Finally, I had slain a level 5 dragon. Now, I just needed an egg.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. We got it! We got it!
Oh my gosh, we got it, guys. Holy sh.
I arrived home on night 93, having finally slayed a dragon and got an egg. And so on day 94, I began doing research over an ice dragon egg. I debated where I should put the dragon enclosure since that could get pretty big. And then I remembered I had this big old hole in the ground next to my house, and this could be a good place for a dragon cave. This would be the day that I make my dragon enclosure. I started off by walling off the water so that this waterfall would get out of here, and then I began to dig, creating a handmade cave just for my dragon. And to avoid losing any more days, I built the entire day through the entire night. Overall, it ended up taking about 2 full days of non-stop work, and finally I had created an okay enough space for my dragon. Day 96 was the day I decided I was going to place my dragon egg. I made sure to do all the research beforehand because I really did not want to mess this up. Imagine if I had to go back and fight more dragons. Could not be me. Once I finally procured the perfect dragon egg setting, I placed my dragon egg and waited anxiously.
I've reread the book about 18 different times just to make sure. Oh, wait. It is working.
According to whoever wrote the book, it took a dragon egg about 3 days to hatch. So all I could do was wait in the meantime. My world, my 100-day world, the first of any, was almost complete. And I couldn't help but admire what I had done in just 100 days. The next few days were spent just enjoying my time in my world. Though I didn't, defeat the Ender Dragon and fight the Wither and all the other bosses, I was content with that. All I wanted to do was be able to tame all these fantasy creatures. Towards the end of day 98, I decided I'm just gonna go check on my dragon egg, just in case. Why not, right? Turns out, someone decided to arrive a little early.
Wait, it worked! You hatched! Hi, buddy!
The dragon egg had hatched. This was it. I had become the mother of dragons, the mother of all fantasy creatures. I quickly made my way to the surface in order to grab some quick levels and a name tag. As a fellow Game of Thrones lover, I had to do it to him. I had heard of something called a dragon meal, which could basically increase the growth of the dragon quickly. So, day 99, I set off to slaughter as many animals as I could in order to make my dragon some dragon meals. Once I'd gathered as much as I could, I set off to go feed it to Dreamfire. Then finally, on the night of day 99, I had finally completed all my tasks, everything I had wanted to do since the beginning, since I first spawned in this world. I had tamed cockatrices, 2 of them, an adorable little hippogriff, a beautiful red amphithere, our friendly little hippocampus, and many more whimsical, wonderful creatures of this strange world. And just to finally top it off, I had actually tamed a dragon. I would sleep one last time in this wonderful, beautiful world I had created. I was so proud of myself and all my accomplishments. Thank you guys so much for watching my very first 100-day Minecraft challenge. I've never done anything like this, and it was quite the adventure. If you guys really enjoyed, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, because I do have a lot more ideas in store, and I don't think you want to miss them. Happy 15th anniversary, Minecraft, and I will see you guys in the very next video. Goodbye!